Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons.
Nanananananananananana DIDDLY.
Richie, what are you doing, man? Wait till I introduce you, man. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review.
Nanananananananananana DIDDLY.
Dude, it's that you're not like. What are you trying to?
Nanananananananananananana DIDDLY.
Hold your turn, Rich. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Batman. I mean, Diddly.
Yay!
We're off to a great start so far, guys. We are reviewing The Joy of Sect. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and joining me, as always, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I am doing great. I think everyone's excited to hear us talk about this episode. This is one we all remember very fondly. Let's get into it, Miles. I gotta throw it back to you as fast as I can. The man, the myth, the bringer of beer. It is Miles.
Richie, are you trying to say that this episode has a cult-like following?
No.
All right. Well, we are talking about The Joy of Sect today, and right off the bat, the title of this episode is actually a reference or a spoof of the book The Joy of Sex, which was written by Alex Comfort.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it goes a little bit of a different direction, though. Not going that way at all. It is a fun one, though. You mentioned it very much like Bart the Carny, but for different reasons. I was very excited to get back to this one. Like this, I have very fond memories of watching this one when I was younger. And I think I often really enjoy the episodes that The Simpsons kind of pokes fun at religion in general a little bit more than like the other episodes. Still look back on like Homer the Heretic, which actually, according to the commentary, this one had a lot of similarities too, which I think is also something that we can see for ourselves. But speaking of the commentary, Richie, I did in fact have access to my commentary, as some of you may know by now.
Woo-hoo!
My DVDs for season 9 are apparently scratched, so commentary has been hit or miss in terms of if I can access it or not. And actually, it's been really fortunate that this is the season that just so happened to be the one that we're reviewing when Disney Plus came out, because I've actually had to resort to watching some of the episodes on Disney Plus because, like, for instance, Bart Carny last week, when I would play the episode, it would start at the part with the glass-bottom boat. So missing a good chunk of the episode because of a clearly significant scratch.
That's pretty far into the episode.
It's like 5 of 8 chapters, so yeah, it's a good ways. And like the last chapter is always just the end credits, but regardless, for The Joy of Sect, I did get to enjoy the commentary from the DVD, and I'm really glad I did, because I got to hear an old familiar voice, someone that we spent quite a few seasons with, but haven't heard from in a while. Did you notice who the executive producer on this episode was, Richie?
David Merkin.
David Merkin was back as the showrunner for this episode. I honestly have no idea if it was a situation. I want to say, based on what I heard, he's got like a similar deal to like Mike and Al, how they do like 1 or 2 episodes a season. It's something like that in this situation. I don't think it was like an extra long holdover or anything, but this episode did feature David Merkin on commentary, along with the writers Steve O'Donnell, Matt Groening, Yardley Smith, and the director was via, like, satellite, like he was calling in with, like, whatever the early 2000s version of a Skype call would be. But that was Steve Moore.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, we talk about this every once in a while, but like when you're a kid, you pay attention to the names, but like you kind of just gloss over them. But at the end of the episode, when Merkin's name popped up, it was very eye-catching. Like, oh, wow, okay, yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah.
And I mean, definitely, I think that makes sense with a lot of the times that Merkin was definitely one to poke fun at, like, organized religion and really just kind of the anarchy representation of the Simpsons staff, I think, in a lot of ways. Throw caution to the wind and make fun of everything.
Yeah.
Much like, Matt and Trey would eventually go on to do at some point. But that's not the show we're here to talk about today. We are, again, talking about The Joy of Sect, which originally aired on February 8th, 1998. The chalk gag on this one was shooting paintballs is not an art form, though I should have Googled it. I bet you there is at least one art gallery that displays like works of art made with paintball guns.
Oh yeah, I would be shocked if not.
I do enjoy the couch gag on this one. It's the Simpsons run in as normal, except they're not normal at all. They're very, very tiny. They struggle to get up on the couch, and when they manage to, Santa's little helper, who is full normal size, runs in and scoops up Homer, assumingly to eat him alive.
Assumingly.
It's a David Merkin episode, after all.
It all makes sense, and at least you can hear Homer's screams.
Ah! Yeah. Homer and Bart arrive at the Springfield International Airport to start the episode today, where they have not had a plane crash since Tuesday.
Ooh. And it's during school hours, so Bart's in a good mood. He's thinking Homer's letting him skip school they're seeing a football team come back from the championship.
Yeah, it's an important bonding moment. It's actually kind of cool, and Homer actually replies here, I always say a boy can learn more at an airport than he can in a school.
I mean, there might be some truth to that.
There's actually a Boy Meets World episode that is very reminiscent. Like, the entire episode is basically about this concept because Corey basically fails a test because he falls asleep during a test in Mr. Feeney's classroom because his dad had kept him up late the night before to, like, watch a World Series or a playoff baseball game. And basically the whole idea was like kind of this awkward debate between Feeney and Corey's dad of what's more important, being in school or being able to have those bonding moments with your family and whatnot. So it was a sweet episode.
Did they find like a common middle ground or something?
Yeah, they sure do. Have you seen a TGIF show in the past? Seems like you're awfully familiar with the format.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah,
maybe
so
we're actually writers.
We actually see as Homer and Bart are walking through the airport that the bullies are actually just swiping luggage, and the squeaky voice teen comes up to try to ask him for their claim ticket, which they are happy to oblige in the form of a punch to the stomach.
Hooah! Oh!
All three of them give him a punch, which is hilarious, because I think the last one is, he's like, no, I don't need to see it. Excuse me.
I got it right here.
Yeah, so he gets a punch even though he didn't ask for the ticket, just because.
It's like, I'll take your word for it.
I really like the joke, too, here, where they walk by a bookstore, but it's just Michael Crichton and Stephen King.
Yeah. and who does Hans Moleman? Do you have anything by Robert Lodium?
Get out. When the bullies go to actually check their loot, it's kind of funny because they're disappointed. Kearney specifically is disappointed because he's like, oh man, it's just a bunch of fruity Easter eggs that he starts to smash. Those are Fabergé eggs, and they are worth an absolute fortune for what it's worth.
Yeah. Oh, man. Poor Kearney.
I remember when I was a kid, I saw a Fabergé egg exhibit somewhere, and, like, I remember, like, wondering what all the fuss was about, because, like, everybody was making such a big deal about it.
Yeah, they're not my thing, to be honest, but I do know that they're worth money, though.
Well, speaking of things that are worth money, Dolph actually finds a liver transplant, and apparently it's not the first one, because he's actually, like, disgusted, like, oh, another liver transplant, and he just throws it across the room.
Well, to be fair, like, you can see he's carrying around a cooler when he goes by the squeaky, pimply-faced teen, so, like, it's going to be something along those lines.
I guess, but, I mean, if he was looking for valuables, livers go for quite a bit on the black market, I'm told.
Yeah, or to Barney.
Or whatever. Liver. It was a liver. Yeah, in this case, though, it is very appropriate that the liver slides right up to Barney, who is instead at Moe's, for whatever reason, drinking at the airport bar today.
Oh, no, not again. You're not getting away that easy, little fella.
And he just picks up the liver and, like, stuffs it under his shirt where his liver would go if it were on the outside of his body. And it immediately starts to, like, seep through his clothing. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
And as Homer and Bart are making their way to the airplane where the football team will be returning from the big game, they go through a line of various religious folks trying to spread the message of whatever their local flavor of nonsense happens to be. I like the first guy's like, have you heard of Krishna consciousness?
This Bart is a crazy man.
And then there's a standard Christian. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Right, that'll work.
And then finally, some very plain dressed man and a woman that are dressed very plainly say to them, a new and better life awaits you on our distant home planet, Blistonia.
Makes sense.
So I do appreciate in this episode, and I talk about it frequently on the episodes that I do talk about religion. Excuse me again, sorry. But the way that they handle making fun of religion, I actually really appreciate, in the sense that they make fun of everything across the board, which is, I think, nice sentiment in a lot of ways. Because, like, yes, they do make fun of a lot of specific religions in this case, but they also, really, they make fun of more, like, cults. But as Bart will say later, really, what's the difference? But, you know, they spread the love or the insults, however you want to think about it, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they poke fun at quite a bit of things in this one.
Yeah. The other woman, though, that's talking about Blistonia also says that they're having a free acquainted session at the resort this weekend.
How much is this free resort weekend?
It's free.
And when is this weekend?
It's this weekend.
Uh-huh. And how much does it cost?
It's free.
I see. And when is it?
It's this weekend.
And what are you charging for this free weekend?
Finally, Bart saves you actually feel bad for the religious nuts, because Bart has to pull Homer away by saying, like, come on, Dad, the team's arriving.
It's free, right?
As the team exits the plane, we learn that they actually didn't win the big game, but the team is actually moved by the fact that there's still a big crowd to welcome us home, even though we lost.
Hey, I'll give you something to cry about, you loser. You can't catch a football? Let's see if you can catch a rock.
And in very traditional Springfield fashion, immediately with the actions of one man, an entire mob scene arises as the entire group, now following Moe's lead, start to attack this poor football team who has to make their way through the airport.
They end up tipping the plane over and, like, the wings fall off and catch fire.
It's like a New York riot, yeah, or LA riot, yeah.
Luckily, you can see that the pilots roll out of the plane when it's upside down, so they're okay.
I like that they take the time to let us know they're safe. So back at home, Marge is looking through the booklet that Homer brought home about the Movementarians. I've never heard of these Movementarians. Are they some kind of church?
Who cares what it is? The point is, there are some decent, generous people that I can take advantage of.
But what if they try to talk us into something?
Marge. Remember when those smooth-talking guys tried to sell me a timeshare vacation condo?
You bought 4 of them. Thank God the check bounced.
So I beat the system.
And Lisa pipes in to say, watch yourself, Dad. You are the highly suggestible type.
Yes, I am the highly suggestible type. LOL.
It's such a good joke. So quick, so smart. Really funny. And just the idea that Homer does seem, and again, going right back to last week with Bart the Carney, very much in the same vein, where Homer is very easy to take advantage of in so many ways.
Yeah, but he is the best grifter.
Also true.
The best.
It takes ones to know one. We were beaten by the best, boy. So the name Movementarian itself, a lot of people are under the assumption that that has to have some sort of meaning, like as a hybrid of other cults, or has some sort of hidden joke. But it was legitimately just chosen because of the way it was. They were looking for something that had an awkward sound, and they thought that sounded very awkward. So it doesn't have any other meaning than it's a word that they made that seemed weird to say.
And now we're so used to saying it, it's almost like it's an actual thing.
It's interesting how life works out like that sometimes.
Aw, we just had a real moment.
Homer arrives at the resort, presumably this weekend, as we knew that was the time it would be. But he's wearing his like fishing gear. He's got his
How
pole, and
much
he's
did it cost?
even. What's that?
How
Oh,
much did it cost?
I believe it was free.
Oh.
I should ask again and double check. But yeah, he arrives and he's clearly like ready to take advantage. Like he doesn't care at all about what they have to say. He just wants to go fishing. And he's actually doing the fishing. But then the movementarians arrive and kind of ruin his fun.
It certainly is a beautiful day. We should thank the leader.
Who the hell is that? Some kind of leader?
Yes, he's the head of our perfect family, and when our galactic vehicle is complete, he will take us to our new home, Blistonia.
Why don't you come chat with us about the leader at the Welcome Center?
Will there be beer?
Beer is not allowed.
Homer no function, beer well without.
He apparently turns into Yoda when he's sober. So Jane puts up the point, though, this is the plain movementarian woman. Would you rather have a beer or complete and utter contentment?
What kind of beer?
Good question, actually. That's important.
Yeah.
Because frankly, if I could get my hands on another salty caramel temptress right now, that would make me pretty content. I would not have contempt for it. Maybe I would. You know what? I do have contempt for the bar that replaced the salty caramel temptress with the barrel bourbon aged temptress. Those are not the same thing, my friend.
It sounds like we need to have a different kind of meeting with you, Miles.
Some sort of alphabet meeting?
Yes.
So, I'm apparently too drunk or sober to find my place in the script now. I moved.
That's okay, Miles, because the leader knows how miserable you are, Marge, Lisa, Bart, and Maggie are.
So he actually, this is actually a really good joke, and we got to get it out differently because the way it's said is basically it's showing that they clearly researched Homer before he got there, because Homer's there by himself, and right after this whole beer conversation, they try to like start breaking him essentially, and he's like, the leader knows how miserable you, Marge, Lisa, Bart, and Maggie are.
Really? I'm surprised about Maggie.
I love that that's Homer's response. Like, clearly they're trying to, like, get under his skin and make him, like, concerned for his family. But he's, like, almost just like, huh, how strange.
The baby's upset, huh? Weird.
But they also say that they're going to be showing a free orientation film in the lobby. And Homer is immediately into that because he's all about the value of a free movie.
Yeah.
It's a really bad film, though. It's, like, clearly, like, it looks like a high school, like, made with, like, string and cups type of, like, special effects. Like, you can tell that, like, they talk about, like, being taken back to their home planet, Blistonia, on a spaceship that they're building, but they have to collect enough money for fuel. Once they have enough money, the great leader will open the doors of the Forbidden Barn, where everybody will board the intergalactic vehicle, and then they'll all fly off into space to live their blissful lives on Blistonia.
Well known for its high levels of bliss.
Exactly, yeah. Hey, I don't know about you, but they're not exactly winning me over with these lousy production values here. I'm gonna slip out.
Click!
But as soon as Carl stands up, the light shines on him like a spotlight, and they start to try to, like, embarrass him or shame him into sitting down.
You're free to leave whenever you want, but would you mind telling us why?
Oh, it's pretty good. And he sits back down. Man, this whole place puffs of wacky tobacco. I'm out of here.
Going somewhere? Although, feel free to do so.
Hey, I was just rearranging my underwear. There it is. But yeah, so we basically see multiple people. First of all, why would Otto be sad that it reeked of pot? But anyway, we see multiple people getting up and trying to leave, and they're always hit with a spotlight and embarrassed into sitting back down and falling back into line.
Yeah, it's a tricky little maneuver here.
At the end of the film, everyone seems like they have been like through that scene in A Clockwork Orange for the most part, but they end by saying, when you surrender yourself to the movementarians, you are guaranteed a perfect life of serenity and love and loving serenity. Nothing guaranteed.
Loving serenity, it's about damn time.
And everybody is like way in awe of the leader and like way buying in already. But Homer's a little confused. He even says, "I don't get this movie. So the cops knew that Internal Affairs were setting them up?"
What are you talking about? There is nothing like that in there.
Oh, you see, when I get bored, I make up my own movie. I have a very short attention span.
But our point is very simple. You see,
oh, look, a bird. They're
this
on
egg's
point.
going to be tough to crack.
They're on point with Homer in this episode in terms of getting the laughs out. And Dan, of course, always does such a great job with just like being able to turn on a dime like that.
Yeah. And it's just funny with how stupid Homer is, but like he's like the most difficult case here.
Yeah, it's not that he... it's just that he can't pay attention long enough to be coerced by a cult, is all it really is.
But he should be the easiest one to get.
Well, he is. They just have to change their tactics. That's what we're going to see here in a bit. But they're going through a few other ideas, like, for instance, the Circle of Judgment, which has never failed in the past. They will surround him and destroy his self-esteem. And the members of the Movementarian are actually like way eager to start. Like Glenn is like, let me start. I'll get the ball rolling. You're a fat idiot.
Yeah, lose some weight.
And everybody is just like going on and on about Homer being fat, but Homer is just like, yeah, I guess I could lose a few pounds, and I can be kind of thick sometimes.
You failed at everything you've ever tried.
You got my number on that one, buddy. This is a smart group.
And your stink brings tears to my eyes.
Now, wait a minute, Mo. Oh, wait, my mistake after taking a smell of his armpits.
Did we already get through the parts where like they used the term jerk-ass? That was like when he was first going fishing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, because I think it's interesting, because this predates the whole jerk-ass Homer movement, which is something that a collective of fans online have essentially called the downfall of The Simpsons, or at least a part of the, like, you know, basically not being in the golden era anymore because Homer becomes a jerk. But I think Homer calls somebody a jerk-ass, doesn't he?
Yeah, he says jerk-ass, out of my way, jerk-ass, and then he's goes fishing, and then like after he's been fishing for a while and they invite him into the compound to show him the movie, he's like, out of my way, jerk ass, and it's like almost an instant callback, and I thought it was really funny, but our script didn't have it.
Yeah, it is interesting that that's in there. I wish it had been in the script, but it's definitely said in the episode.
Yeah, he does it like twice right in a row.
So speaking of doing things right in a row, the Movementarians are still struggling to connect to Homer, and they decide, I know, we can do a chant. Everybody will fall.
This is with while eating the low protein gruel that always wears down people, but like Homer's
Homer
eating it so fast. That's when the one dude says, it doesn't wear down your resistance if you eat a whole month's supply. He even ate mine.
Yeah, and Homer's absolutely loving it. Like, he's just, like, mindlessly, like, eating over and over and over again, while everybody else is, like, clearly broken at this point.
Yeah.
But they start this chant, attention, everybody, let's all give thanks to the leader for this glorious day.
The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will as of this date.
The leader is good. The leader is great.
We
surrender our will as of this date. The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will as of this date.
It's no use.
Yeah, Homer's not taken to it.
He's obviously the most powerful mind we've ever dealt with.
But then the other movementarian gets an idea, or na 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 leader. Na 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 leader. Na 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 leader. And that still isn't quite catching on, as Homer is the last one to catch on, but finally it kind of starts to seep in and connect. Such a catchy tune, and right at the part where it gets to the leader,
Batman! I mean, leader! I love the leader.
And Homer has, once again, one of the quickest emotional 180s in the history of humanity. And right back at the Simpsons' home, Marge immediately greets them to, "You what?"
Marge, when I join an underground cult, I expect a little support from my family.
And she actually goes through several pieces here where they're like, "You did what? You did what?" And she just can't believe it, but she does declare, "I can't go along with this, Homer."
He makes it clear that he's joined the movementarians, and so have all of them.
Yeah, he's essentially signed them all up against their will.
All I had to give them was our life savings, the deed to the house, and a commitment of 10 trillion years of labor.
I can't go along with this, Homer.
And that's actually when he says, when he joins an underground cult, he expects a little support from his family.
And Lisa is immediately concerned. "Dad, do you think you might have been brainwashed?"
I have not been brainwashed. Kill the girl.
Homer?
What? What did I say?
And this is my favorite line in the episode. I'm going to totally declare it now. A brilliant read by, for Bart, excuse me, a brilliant line by Bart. "Church cult, Colt's church. So we get bored someplace else every Sunday. Does it really change our day-to-day lives?"
I can see why that's your favorite line, Miles.
I'm upfront about my thoughts on the matter. But yeah, I really do love everything about that line. And Nancy Cartwright does a great job reading it. We always talk about Dan Castellaneta, but she does a lot to bring Bart's words from the page to actually have, a lot more meaning in them.
Yeah. It is a very good line spoken in a very great way.
As most of them on this show are. Marge is refusing to leave the home, but she doesn't really have much of a choice in the matter, because it turns out that Homer really did sign everything away, and this house is actually going to become the new local welcome center for the district.
Oh, and it didn't cost us a dime.
Back, actually on the television, we see Kent Brockman is reporting about this movementarian movement.
Springfield has been overrun by a strange and almost certainly evil sect, calling themselves the Movementarians. In exchange for your home and all of your money, the leader of this way out and wrong religion claims he'll take believers away on a spaceship to the planet Blistonia. Excuse my editorial laugh. Ha! But
just then a piece of paper is handed to Kent Brockman from off screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just learned of a change in the station's management. Welcome, Movementarians. Continue to improve our lives. I love you, perfect leader, and new CEO of KBBL Broadcasting.
Oh, man. So, apparently this episode actually establishes that Channel 6's call letters are KBBL, which we had already known that the big radio station in Springfield was KBBL, but that means that Channel 6 and the radio station are associated.
Ooh.
That's perfect Kent Brockman. That's exactly who he is as a character, which is super fun. Again, he also just turns on a dime because he's essentially just saying what he has to collect a paycheck.
Yep.
The Simpsons home is now a Movementarian welcome center, which means the Simpsons family are moving on to the Movementarian grounds, the agricultural compound specifically, and they're essentially shown some dormitories where they're told they'll be housed for the first 100,000 years. But then something might open up in a double.
Ha! Why even unpack?
Lisa can immediately see this is a cult. Dad, all these people are obviously the product of mental conditioning.
Yeah, maybe it'll wear off, like his interest in CB radio.
Homer hears this kid's talking. That's a negatory, good buddy.
I like Bart's take on the matter where he says, pretend it's like you're in a zombie movie from how all the parents are acting.
And he also says this is just another special place for him to another place for him to wreak his special brand of hysterical havoc. These rogues in robes haven't met the likes of Bart Simpson before.
Oh, something cool's gonna happen. He's gonna get him.
Well, he actually leaves the room carrying his little bastard mischief kit, which we have seen in the past. But he returns just a few moments later, and he is now carrying his little bastard brainwashing kit, and he's very much buying into the leader.
That's like he walks out the door, then immediately walks back in the door, and he's like, I love the leader. And it's actually the movementarian that's carrying the little bastard brainwashing kit.
Yeah.
So they've tangled with the likes of Bart before.
So the only mistake the movementarians have made is by invading another criminal organization's territory, because the Springfield Church is already suckering people out of their money every Sunday, and this Sunday is a little different because the only people in the crowd are the Flanders.
And Lenny.
You're right.
I want to point out the Lenny part because I have some stuff about that later.
So, Reverend Lovejoy is very concerned by the lack of money that was collected in the plate that went around, so he decides to use the emergency plate, which is just like a bigger plate, is all it is. But Ned points out that that's probably not going to help because, again, there's only 4 other people in the crowd. 5.
Yeah. Not looking good there, Reverend.
Yeah. And that makes him think that, this so-called new religion is nothing but a pack of weird rituals and chants designed to take away the money of fools. Let us say the Lord's Prayer 40 times. But first, we'll pass the collection plate.
40 times?
And back at the agricultural compound, we see Homer is still trying to convince Marge, see how much better our lives are now?
You two, stop talking and resume the lima bean harvest.
They are basically in a internment camp situation where they're being forced to work on the farm for no pay and apparently can't even talk to one another.
But this is a great Marge line here, because after they say that, Marge looks at him and says, when we got married, you promised our harvesting days were over.
Just then, the Forbidden Barn actually opens up, but just slightly, large enough for a Rolls Royce to drive out and start driving through the compound. And we see a single white-gloved hand stick out the window and wave, and everybody is so thrilled to just see the leader, and even more thrilled whenever some of the dust actually lands on Mo and Sideshow Mel, I believe it was.
Yeah.
They basically are like, oh, I'm covered in the dust of the leader. He favors me.
I am even dustier than thou.
Dustier than thou is a fantastic line for what it's worth. That's beautiful, man. But then the leader's car actually drives through some mud that splatters all over Homer, covering him head to toe. And it actually makes people jealous. Mo even comes up and he's like, look who's the new pet is.
I've never been so happy.
At the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant, we see Burns is having a conversation with Smithers. He's very concerned because, I'll let Richie take that part away.
Smithers, why haven't I heard of this, the leader? He's as rich and wicked as I, but he seems to enjoy tax-exempt status.
Well, actually, sir, with our creative bookkeeping and corporate loopholes, we only pay $3 a year.
You're right! We're getting screwed!
Honestly, this joke, at this point, it almost makes me too sad to be funny. It's funny, but, it's also just way too true, because the simple fact is these fucking corporations are not doing their part, and, a bunch of idiots think that I'm not gonna get. I'm look at me.
This is about the
look at me refraining, Richie. Look how good I'm doing right now. You should be proud.
Podcast.
Perfect. Okay, what were we doing? Awesome. Not ranting.
You love podcasts.
I love Best Darn Diddly. Yeah, cool. So Mr. Burns is upset that they're paying all of that money in taxes while this religious organization is enjoying tax exempt status.
You see me as a god, right, Smithers?
Absolutely, sir.
You'd kneel before me?
Boy, would I.
Yes, I'll form my own religion with its own symbol.
And he actually starts to draw, and for whatever reason, it's the Special K cereal symbol, which that Smithers points out to Mr. Burns.
We'll use a Special K.
I believe that's already a breakfast cereal, sir.
Do people worship it?
In a way.
All right, then. How about this?
And this time he does Mickey Mouse ears, so Smithers decides he'll take care of the symbol drawing, no worries. Soon enough, though, we actually see this like full on like coming to life situation.
Ceremony.
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. It's Mr. Burns who is wearing a molded like giant muscular chest piece. There are 2 twin statues of him with said muscles, and there's a crowd of people gathered outside of this mausoleum. It's like some sort of structure that he's standing upon. With all
it's outside the power plant.
Was that all it was? They just had, yeah, that's right. They just added the statues to the power plant. Either way, it also goes really, really badly when Smithers actually melts his chest piece, which is apparently made of wax, and it leaves Smithers just withered up in the ball down below on the floor.
It's a spark from a firework lands on Burns' beard, and it starts melting all the plastic suit that's on him.
But yeah, I do love the hoy hoy. You mere mortals can, in addition for working for me, can now praise me as your almighty.
Amen, sir.
So apparently all of this is a spoof of the Michael Jackson music video History, which is interesting. I did watch the music video. It's all right. It's not my favorite time frame for Michael's music.
Yeah, it's all right, but it's no bowl of Special K.
I do really like that, actually. Is it Lenny that's really into the Special K?
It's Lenny, yeah. It's after all that he holds up the Special K thing. And that's the point I wanted to bring up, that like I feel like this is a tricky little bit of continuity in this episode, because if you'll notice, I haven't seen Lenny at the Movementarian compound at all. Lenny is the only person besides the Flanders still at the actual church. So I like that, like, if you look at the audience of who's outside Mr. Burns' little religious gathering, Lenny's the only, like, real noticeable face of the townspeople, but none of the people from the Movementarian compound are there either. So, like, I felt like that's kind of cool, almost like Lenny's trying to find his spot as well.
Yeah, that is fun. He's just searching for alternate methods. That's a really interesting observation.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I feel like they did that on purpose.
Well, back at the compound, the Movementarian compound, we see that they're preparing for a mass marriage ceremony, and Marge is again just not having it. This is ridiculous. We're already married.
But Marge, we're not mass married.
Barney and Otto appear, linking arms, and Barney points out, at least you got to choose your mate. We got matched up on the printout.
Remember our agreement. I'm the man.
You the man. I don't know if Barney means it the same way that Otto means it. Is the joke here. Like, Barney says it in a very much like
chill
dude bro, like at the bar, like you the man, bro. And Otto says it in a manner which implies that I'm pretty sure he's gonna go home and try to fuck Barney.
Yep, probably.
Or back to the compound or whatever. Skinner actually got paired up with his mother, and he has the very polite line of, I could have done a lot worse, mother.
Speak for yourself.
And Comic Book Guy is paired up with a woman who he just asks, do you enjoy comic books?
And she looks like the type to not enjoy comic books at all.
We also see a glimpse of how the Movementarians handle elementary school. We see the kids are being taught by Mrs. Krabappel, and Bart is doing surprisingly well in school. And who can tell me where thunder and lightning come from? Yes, Bart?
The leader, ma'am.
Very good, Bart. And who invented Morse code?
Oh, I should know this one. The leader?
Correct again, Bart. But then Lisa just can't take it anymore. She actually has a little bit of a meltdown. She kicks her desk and actually starts saying how she isn't going to stand for this. And, you know, really is just like standing up to authority until Mrs. Krabappel points out that you do want to make good grades, don't you, Lisa?
Ooh.
She knows her weakness. It's her kryptonite.
Yeah, and apparently Miss Krabappel knows all about Lisa, even though she's never been her teacher before.
That is interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure it comes through in the teacher's lounge how annoying Lisa is about her grades. But even Maggie's daycare is getting it started because we get a very clear homage to Barney the dinosaur. It looks like a cheap suit, but somebody is in it singing the song. Instead of I love you, you love me, it's leader loves you, leader loves me. Is that right?
We're a happy family, sure.
I think that's right. It's basically the Barney song, but like themed to the
with leader.
You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Back at the like mess hall or whatever.
Never thought you'd sing that to a national audience or a world audience, did you?
Yeah, it's life's weird. It's fine. But back at the mess hall, Homer is eating, and he's actually all they eat is lima beans. He's like, "Wow, these lima beans are even better than the ones we had for breakfast and lunch. Ooh, a lima bean that looks just like the leader. I'll put it with the others."
Homer, you know I always try to put the best face on everything, but there's no face on that damn bean. We hate it here, and your family wants to leave.
But Bart and Lisa come in like zombies. No,
we don't, Mother. We love the leader.
And even Maggie removes her pacifier and just gives a little smile.
No! Alrighty, time for bed.
So she also has like a weird little snap there where she's like completely freaking out, but then it's like, all right, everybody go to sleep. But it turns out it's because she has a plan. She's going to flee in the night. Now remember, there has never been a time that they have been held there against their will. They have always been free to leave from the moment they were watching the film all the way until now. Only when Marge gets to the edges of the compound, the pimple-faced kid who is on security and does, again, inform her that she is absolutely free to leave. But when you look outside the gates, it's things like minefields and attack dogs and alligators and just all sorts of treacherous...
Barbed wire.
All sorts of treacherous things that would be almost impossible to cross. Except Marge handles it like a champ, dude. Like
yeah.
She grabs a stick, propels herself off the ground, over the barbed wire. She uses that same stick to lodge the alligator's jaw open so she can cross. And she's being chased by dogs. And she manages to outrun the dogs, yeah.
And then the bubble, Miles. The bubble.
Dude, was like that like a reference to Phantasm? Or like
it was a reference to a 60s TV show called The Prisoner. My dad used to talk about it every time this came on. And then it's been so long since I've seen this, I had to Google it. But it's like a British science show, like it's called The Prisoner, and this guy was on some kind of coastal island as a prisoner, and they kidnapped him to see why this like ex-spy or something quit his job, essentially. But apparently the fantasy island style place that the character was on, they had these kind of bubbles to keep people from getting away.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I did not catch that reference at all, but glad that your dad was able to help inform you so you could inform us. And it is unfortunate, however, for Hans Moleman, because Marge is able to flee the bubble, but Moleman is there as a second consolation prize, if you will.
Help me!
Marge makes her way to the church, where it seems like Reverend Lovejoy is also going with his consolation plan, because he's actually spreading gasoline all over the church, clearly going to try to do an insurance claim. But Marge runs in.
Wait, hold up. He says, "Oh, I never thought I'd have to do this again."
Again. Yeah, that's right. Clearly, he's been through here a few times. Marge explains that she needs the Reverend's help and that her entire family has been taken in by the evil movementarians.
Oh, I feel for you, my child, and I'd like to help you.
And as he says that, he's holding the collection plate in front of Marge, who, like, reaches into, all she has is, like, a coin.
No, she gives him her wedding ring.
Is that what it is? Oh, my God,
Yeah,
that's even worse.
She puts her wedding ring in the collection plate.
That's awful. I can't believe I missed that, and two, that's just awful, but, like, also hilarious and true.
And she doesn't even really hesitate. She just goes, dink.
But Reverend Lovejoy has a plan, and he knows just the man they're going to need to get the Simpsons family back. Enter groundskeeper Willie.
I'll kidnap him for 50, deprogram him for 100, and I'll kill him for 500.
No, just the first two.
All right, I'll throw in the killing for free.
Oh, man. So we cut back from Willie and Marge back to the compound where we see the Rolls Royce is once again driving, and it's approaching Homer, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. The gloved hand comes out once again and waves. This time, however, it signals to Homer and the rest of the Simpsons to come towards the car. Talk about favor. Last time he was coated in mud. This time he is being called over. But, of course, it turns out that it is Marge, Reverend Lovejoy, and Willie, and they are
somehow
kidnapping...
being a Rolls Royce.
Meh. But I do love immediately Homer is like, wow, Marge, you're the leader? You don't look anything like the Beans.
Knock him out, Reverend!
And they start hitting Homer with a bat. Reverend gives it a try. Groundskeeper Willie gives it a try. Marge gives it a try.
Noodle arm, fire boy.
They even have the idea to all try together at the same time. And on IMDb, it does point out, and I think it's kind of fun to think of it this way, that this could be a callback to the Homer They Fall, where we learn that it's almost impossible to knock Homer out.
I mean, he is unbreakable.
Unbreakable Homer.
Mm-hmm.
We see that they are using the Flanders Rumpus room to tie up and deprogram Homer.
Oh, you're gonna break like matchsticks, I promise you that.
Until Ned comes down and turns on the light. They had it all dark and like trying to be intimidating, but Ned turns on the lights. Hey there, I made some Rice Krispie Squares if you're hungry for your deprogramerinos.
Oh, man, you ruined the atmosphere, you daft pansy.
Well, this is my rumpus room.
Don't call it that.
We see back at the Movementarian compound, we actually see one of the main boring guys gets off a phone call and learns that outsiders have kidnapped some of our property. We must respond with our deadliest weapon.
The lawyers.
And we see them put in a call, and very much like the Ghostbusters or like a firehouse, like the lawyers are actually at the lawyer house. They come like coming down the fire pole or lawyer pole, I guess you'd call it in this case, and they get on what looks like a fireman's truck, but of course I have to assume is a lawyer's truck. And they go in pursuit to help the movementarian cause.
Oh, do anything for money.
The Simpsons are missing, and they make an announcement. Attention, all citizens. Even though the leader himself is completely non-violent, he urges you to be as violent as you like in capturing the Simpsons.
Then back to KBBL.
Yeah, the lawyers are actually like flipping over the scent right there in front of Ket Brockman, who's protesting. He's like, "What are you doing? They're not here, you idiots."
Idiots? That's slander, sir, and we have it on tape.
All right, I'll get out my checkbook. Meh.
What was that?
Meh. I said meh. Marge is taking a different approach in deprogramming the kids. So you kids really love the leader, huh? Even more than your parents?
Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Alrighty. So Marge asks them more than that. She asks if they love the leader more than their brand new hover bikes. And sure enough, there are 3 bikes floating in midair and even a like hovering noise. The kids are immediately
the look on Maggie's face. like Maggie drops her pacifier and she is so excited, and there's something for some reason it was the Maggie look that sold me on this.
Well, magical beings appreciate magic.
Did you see that they even had Maggie's hands tied up in the scene? Like, you're like, what the hell? They got a baby's hands tied up, and then you thought, well, she's magical, so they needed
of the three, she's the one you have to be most careful of. Actually,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, immediately the kids are like, "Leader who? Huh? No, we love hover bikes."
What do you say about the leader now? I love
Marge is hoping that they'll say that they love their parents, but when they say we love hover bikes, she's like,
hover bikes. Yeah. But then you love the bit when they go get on him and it immediately falls over.
And Marge is laughing so sincerely. Sorry, kids. There's no such thing as hover bikes. They're just a couple of huffies on a fishing line.
But we heard them hovering.
And Ned Flanders comes out. I'm afraid I played a dirty part in this little charade. And he is blowing like a piece of plastic over a comb.
Can we at least keep the bikes?
Oh, no. They're due back at the store by 6. Get off.
Gosh.
We see that Homer is still attempting... Groundskeeper Willie is attempting to deprogram Homer, is what I'm trying to say.
All right. What's so fine and great about your fancy pants leader?
The leader knows all and sees all.
Oh, well, that is impressive.
And he's going to take us to a wonderful new planet.
Oh, this leader, he sounds like a grand fella.
I'm not sure we're making any headway here.
Would you shut up, woman? He's talking about my leader.
So, amazingly, Homer has somehow programmed Willie as opposed to the other way around.
What can save Homer's life, Miles?
And it's actually Ned Flanders, of all people, who comes to save the day, because he comes down trying to be a gracious host, of course, and offers everybody a beer. And that's the one thing that seems to drag Homer's attention, which is so fitting, as that was the last straw he had to kind of get over, that last hump at the beginning of the episode, to give up beer to join the movement. And it's beer that's come crawling back to call him back.
Go on, Homer. Our commandments clearly state that beer is all right. Try some.
And a small drop, just the tiniest drop, lands on Homer's tongue just as the lawyers burst into the door like FBI raid style and grab Homer and bring him towards the exit. Homer still seems to be under the influence of the leader, and he seems to want to go here. But Ned has had it, because he does not care for these men bursting in his home.
You know, I pride myself on being a good host, so I'm obliged to offer you a beer. But I'm so darn mad, it's going to be mostly head.
And he lives true to his word, because he pours a beer that's 90% white foam. Yeah. And I think that's so funny that Ned feels obligated to offer the men that burst through his home. It's like if he was being robbed, he would still be like, well, sir, you're here. Can I offer you a brewski?
And I like Marge. Homer, come back. That's my husband.
He's our husband now. But Homer has something to say when he gets back to the Movementarian compound. He gets everybody's attention and says, I'm glad I'm back, because the moment that sweet, sweet beer hit my tongue, I was born again. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now I can show you all what I've come to realize. The reason we're not allowed in the Forbidden Barn is because there is no intergalactic spaceship. He's taken our money just so he can... And when they open up the door, it's to everybody's shock, including our own, they actually do reveal a giant flying saucer, or at least what looks to be like one.
And I love that bit with Homer, because he's actually building one hell of a spaceship. So fun.
We actually hear a speaker coming over from the spaceship, it seems.
Homer Simpson, because of your lack of faith, you have ruined mankind's chance for salvation.
Oops. But it seems that maybe it wasn't it's kind of like the Angel a little bit. They just leave it hanging for just a moment. Not long at all, because immediately
collar off and throw it on the ground.
Good point. Yeah, just so long enough for everybody to have that little bit of like, oh wow, is it true? But then as the UFO starts to fly away, we see it starts to fall apart, and underneath the frame is nothing but a pedal like copter with bags of money hanging from it, and the leader is trying to make a getaway.
Why do they always have the dollar sign on?
Yeah, I know, right?
So he's going to get away scot-free, huh?
Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out for him because he loses control and lands right on Cletus's property.
Wait, did we say that he was making the hovering noise like Ned with the comb and the paper?
That's how they were doing the hover sounds for the UFO too. Same tactic.
Yep.
Stranger, you're trespassing on man's dirt farm.
Do you happen to need a messiah?
No, but I'll take them sacks of money from you.
Oh, I should have stayed with the Promise Keepers.
So now that it's been outed that the leader is a phony, everybody is a little upset. I really enjoy Moe's line here.
Damn it! It fell apart like everything else I've ever believed in. I guess it's back to good old-fashioned voodoo.
And we see maybe the key to Moe's success all these years. He pokes a voodoo doll of Barney with a small Duff bottle right in the stomach.
Whoa, I need a drink.
Hey, come with me. Ned notices that Lovejoy must have dropped his collar because he picks it up for him and hands it back to him. And Lovejoy's like, oh, yes, it must have fallen off.
Come back to Papa, baby.
Back at the Simpsons' home, it seems that everything is back to normal because the Simpsons are where they should be, on the couch watching TV together. Just think, I turned to a cult for mindless happiness when I had beer all along. And you, Marge, the bringer of beer.
It's wonderful to think for ourselves again.
You said it, sister. And then from the TV, we see the program start up.
You are watching Fox.
We are watching Fox. And that brings us to the end of the episode. The joy of Sect. The Simpsons move from one cult to the next. Especially relevant in 2020, again, I will just say. But, Richie, is there anything else that you or that book of yours want to talk about Joy of Sect before we get out of here?
You know, this is one, like, a lot of the episodes recently I've seen in the recent past, but this is one I had kind of forgot about because it's been a while since I've actually seen it until, about 5 weeks ago when I saw it was upcoming, and it was a lot of fun getting to watch this one for the first time in a long time. I very much enjoy it. I mean, everyone always remembers it for the fishing and Batman stuff, but as usual, there's so many good moments in this one, and just the stupidity that's both the good and the bad for Homer just makes this episode so much fun. It's just, I mean, I had a bad day last night, Miles, and this episode just put me in a damn good mood. So I think if that's what you can take away from The Simpsons at the end of every day, then why can't everyone just love The Simpsons, man? This is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. We should
love The Simpsons as if that we're the lead, or
exactly. And I'm sure you're going to talk about L. Ron Hubbard, so I'll throw it back to you.
Just a little bit, yeah. I will point out from IMDb that this episode references several real-life controversial religious groups, such as the Unification Church, which actually did mass weddings, Osho, which had the leader driving around in a Rolls Royce, and Heaven's Gate, which included riding on a spaceship to another planet. And then, of course, the leader is drawn to resemble L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, which is obviously the truth. But in the school, I also will point out, there were several books that we were able to see the titles of, including Arithmetic the Leader's Way and Science for Leader Lovers.
All right.
But that is going to bring us to the end of the Joy of Sect, and that's going to bring us to the end of this week's Best Darn Diddly. Once again, thank you so much for downloading, liking, subscribing, contributing on Patreon, and all that other cool podcast shit that you do.
You can follow me at @thewiz_kid23. You can follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off. But most importantly, please follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY.
And of course, more importantly than even that, because he already said that, I don't know, whatever. Just come back next week, because we're going to be here, and we want you to join us. It makes the experience better for everybody. And I don't know if I should announce this. I'm afraid I'm going to jinx it, but fuck it. I'm going to cross my fingers right now, and we're going to do this. We are going to have the continuation of the streak, Richie, because we are going to be joined once again by our friend Dr. Andrew Briseno to discuss the episode Das Bus.
All right. We'll throw in the killing for free.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.
That sounded like we were going to kill Andy. We're not going to kill him, I don't think.
Meh, I've thought about it.